Well, that's what you call a wrap. Season 1 of Working Class to World Class is now complete with 20 amazing guests, but season 2 is heading your way very soon. Honestly, I cannot wait, but I have to wait a little longer. So until then, let's take a look and a little trip back down memory lane to see some of the best moments of season 1.
It's why I also encourage people to tell their stories. It's why I'm telling my story today, right? Because I think sometimes you can think you're the only person that's trodden that path. You're the only person to have felt like that. You're not. When I think back on it, though, I realise like how grateful I am.
Yeah.
Like I think back to being a kid in that council estate, and I think, and all I ever wanted was just a house with a garden. Like that's it. I'm just like, I'll be winning if I have a house with a garden. And I like, my mom has that, I have that. And it's like, I keep going back to, it's not the material things. It's the fact that it's a marker that all of that graft, all of that energy, all of that focus, you've achieved what you set out to achieve. And I was just always like, my children will never experience that. Like I didn't want my children to ever experience that life. I didn't want them to feel embarrassed about where they came from or what they could have and what they couldn't have. Like everyone will have various levels of that, right? But for me, it's that emotional marker that, yeah, like I've done it. And I kind of think back to that young girl. And all the times I cried to my mum and I'm just like, it's so not fair. Like, how have they got this? And we don't have that. And I think back to that little girl and I kind of just want to say it'll be okay. Like, you did okay.
You did more than okay. And the thing is, you're really respected. So that's the thing, you know, which I love about you, is you remain really humble. And you can tell that even although you're super successful, you've got a global role, Jesus. You know, you work for one of the biggest, most respected companies in the advertising marketing industry, and you're leading it. And so you're proof to everyone that little girl who didn't have much has everything now.
Years ago, when I was only 12, my brother died, 16, my mum died, and 19, my dad died.
Wow.
So within that time, so for me, it was the most horrific point where you could have went one way or other. Now, the reason I bring it up is I wouldn't be doing this podcast, I don't believe, unless these things had happened to me. Now, I would wish they had never happened. Of course I do, but I can't change it. So it's then, how do you change your route in life? And, you know, and I think you've illustrated that point, you know, beautifully. And, you know, for you then, let's get to the turning point then, because obviously you've got your mum staying with you. As we say, you're trying to make ends meet. So talk me through when does it start getting good? So when does the excitement start building where you're like, actually, wait a minute, Mum, your dreams and my dreams might be coming true?
Well, the craziest thing was in my final year, one of my best friends approached me and said, "Hey, Chatri, let's start a company together. Let's start a business together." And I said, "No way, I don't have any money." And he was also poor. He had no money either. I'm like, we cannot make any. Because no, but listen, we can go to Silicon Valley and there's a thing called venture capital where you can go raise money around a business plan and let's go try it. And I said, no, I'm definitely not, because my mom's plan for me is to graduate and get a good job at a Fortune 500 company, a stable, safe job at a big company. That was literally my whole mindset. That was the plan that my mother gave me. But he's like, come on, just help me out. I said, okay, I'll help the business plan. I'll build a business plan with you. And then I helped build a business plan. Then he goes, okay, Chachi, let's just join this business plan competition at school. I said, I don't want. And we went there and did that. And then I don't know, I got bit by the bug. And at the same time, I was interviewing for jobs. And I did get 4 or 5 job offers and really incredible job offers from great companies. And I was very, very much torn. And because I was slowly getting sucked in to entrepreneurship. And then it was our last semester, we flew out to Silicon Valley with the business plan. And in my mind, I'm like, this is the craziest thing because I'm not going to become an entrepreneur. I'm not. Long story cut short, an angel investor, we didn't get venture capital at that time, but In our last semester, an angel investor gave us $500,000 to start a company.
And, you know, you were talking about your stepdad injecting heroin. So you imagine you're this young kid. How old were you?
I was about 11.
Okay,
No.
so imagine this 11-year-old and you see this, like what's racing through your head?
Well, I was like, oh my gosh, I better get out of the room. You know, that's, and it, again, it almost, I was, you know, it was part of the family business. So I was selling it as a kid. And when you actually, I think, when you see that, and when you see people going through that, I was very blessed to be that smart not to want to take it, and very blessed to think, you know, that is not what journey I want to be on. And actually those people were probably prime examples to me on why I wouldn't go down that avenue, but I might not have been. And you are presented with a lot of dangers that are normalized in those in those pockets of poverty. There is terrible stuff that's normalized and very accepted, and it is really, really sad. And it's PTSD. It's, you know, I mean, I'm really lucky. I've always spoken about my journey. I think that's helped me heal in a lot of ways. And also the work that I do with young people, I mean, watching them build a bit of confidence and being able to apply for a job and get a job, you know, it's just amazing. So yeah, I'm lucky, but there's a lot of people that weren't that lucky and have ended up in prison, or, you know, there's many stories that my story could have become.
And at what age did you start selling it then? And what were you selling?
Heroin, 13. Yeah. And I've burgled houses. I've stolen stereos. I did do this all as a child, okay? Anyone? And I've had too many of it now.
And I have to ask before I let you go. So a few times you've talked about being sparky and you've talked about your mouth. What is the most outrageous thing you've ever said publicly?
When I look back at occasionally people show me things from when I was in my 30s and my 40s and were doing a lot of television. So I was like on the Ricky Gervais show, and me and Ricky, oh my God, we were so un-PC. It's like, whoa, and especially my daughters showing, Dad, did you ever say that? And then I did this series for Channel 4 called The Art Show, and we did one program called Three Posh Curries. No, three curries and a posh meal or something. But look it up. It's on YouTube, or it's somewhere on YouTube. And three curries and a. Oh, anyway, look it up, and it's part of the channel. Type in Wayne Hemingway, Channel 4 Art Show, three curries or something, and the opening sequence and the closing sequence of that. I think, God Almighty, you were behind that. That is so risque. And I don't think it would be on television nowadays. I don't think they get away with it, and certainly I wouldn't dare do it. So I was much more daring and, you know, un-PC when I was younger. But now I've got, you know, kids who have kind of would not allow me to do that, and I wouldn't want to, because it was just like, well, it was a different time.
Okay, well, I'm not going to ask you what it is. I'm going to leave it on that note. I'm about to go off and do my research. But just thank you so much, Wayne, for being part of this. I think it's fair to say you've inspired millions of people. And just keep being you, because you're absolutely awesome.
Just to keep this real, I'm actually recording this from my house in Clydebank, where I was brought up. And I'm sure it's a place that you know well. And we can talk about that in a second. But the one thing I really wanted to sort of point out to everyone listening is, Jim, I asked you, I think, you know, it was 1 minute I asked you if you would like to be part of this, because it's all about helping to inspire people with your story. And literally within under 10 minutes, you came back and said, absolutely, I'm up for this. So can you just talk to me through why did you do it?
Well, I had been doing this last week. We're about to go on tour, and they really ramped up a lot of the promo this week. Just about half an hour before I got the request for you, I'd said, I'm not doing any more. That's it. We've got to get on with it here. But you know, well, you actually said the word there. There's certain words that always jump out at me, and they pertain a lot to our story. And certainly inspiration is one of the key words. That mixture of inspiration and aspiration. And I don't know what I've done really, but whatever I've done, I've certainly been inspired by a lot of people. And If in any way our story helps to inspire, then that's a good thing. So really, those were the switches, those were the clicks that made me go back to Elaine and say, after me saying to her, don't ask me anymore, I'm not doing it anymore. That's it. Wait. Not because of, not any prima donna thing, just we haven't got time.
Yeah.
And then, so a couple of, there's just key words, I think, to all of us. There's key words that we respond to, sometimes negative, sometimes positive. But that word, inspiration, it still has a big draw for me, still has a big pull for me. So that's why that's why I was keen to look over your pitch for the interview that we're about to do now.
Breaking through the barriers of adversity. I'm Lynn Lester, and this is Working Class to World Class.